One reason and one reason only: term limits. In 1990, the voters, in particular the Republican conservatives, after having tried everything in the world to get rid of me in the power position as Speaker, after they had been embraced at one time by a collection of Democrats, more conservative Democrats called the Gang of Five, who would also try to join with the Republicans to oust me.
These were all white males.
All white males. They finally gave up. And they just decided the only way to get rid of him is to get rid of everybody after a certain number of terms. So they went out and collected signatures, put on the ballot a term limit measure, which we fought bitterly. And we would have won it if David Roberti, the head of the Senate, and a white male, had kept his end of the bargain. The two legislative leaders, Willie Brown and David Roberti, agreed. You take the written campaign, I'll take the television and radio campaign, and I'll finance it. I'll find people to be the spokespersons. Obviously, radio television was far more expensive than print. The last piece of mail to be sent was a letter from Ronald Reagan, and it simply said, "Dear supporter, without term limits, I would, except for term limits on the presidency, I would still be the president. Term limits were really bad. Vote no on this term limit measure." Our polling and everything it showed, that was worth 5% of the vote. We lost it by 4, only, however, because we never sent that letter out. Roberti did not send the letter. He decided that we were going to lose it anyway, and therefore he was going to keep the money in his campaign account for future purposes rather than do his end of the bargain. We didn't know that because you have no way of knowing until the letter is out. And the letter was to be the last thing you got on the weekend before the election. We lost the damn election by a small margin, only because Roberti didn't keep his end of the bargain.
The 4%.
And it was amazing because the Lord works in mysterious ways. The very first person victimized by term limits was Roberti.
Oh my goodness.
He got ousted in 1994. There was an interpretation of his previous electoral process. No one was supposed to be ousted before 1996 because it was two two-year terms for members of our House and 2 4-year terms for members of the Senate, which means the first senator would have been affected, theoretically would be 98, the first member of our House would be 96. So if you were there in 90, you should have been there. But under the interpretation by the Attorney General, it turns out that one of his terms, because of the nature of how he did it, counted, and he got ousted in 1994.
2 years.
Poetic justice. Poetic justice. Well,
yes.
By 1995, it was clear that my friend John Burton, still the friendship of more than 30 years, was being termed out as I would be termed out in 96. He wanted to be mayor. There was a mayor named Frank Jordan. A poll was taken of who could beat Frank Jordan. Burton was the least likely to beat Frank Jordan. I was a slam dunk to beat Frank Jordan. So we had 2 seats open. We had the mayor's job potentially open by defeating Frank Jordan. We could replace Senator Milton Marks, who had decided to do something else. Literally, I could have been either one or the other. But as usual, in our relationship, we provide room for each other.
Yes, yes.
So I decided, then I'll do mayor, you do state senate. And that's how the decision was made for me to become mayor of San Francisco.
Wow. Did he win the state senate?
He won. I'm sure. It's a slam dunk. We win everything. I won the mayorship. He won the state senate. He served 2 terms in the state senate. I served 2 terms as mayor. He became president pro tem of the state senate.